I'm Philip Duncan from WeatherWatchTV on YouTube. Thank you for joining us for our 7-day Australia-only forecast. And obviously all eyes have been on Queensland with the tropical cyclone Jasper that made landfall last night, Category 2, just north of Port Douglas and south of Cooktown. It's now an ex-cyclone. It's falling apart, but plenty more rain and humidity and thunderstorms carrying on there. And we've got plenty of thunderstorms bubbling up around parts of Australia over the next week. Not as dramatic as it was back in November, but still a bit of energy there. And spring temperatures in the south here. So some of the headlines at the moment, or highlights I should say, would be places like Hobart, pretty cloudy week coming up for you. Brisbane, fairly dry today, but you've got a showery week coming up your way. Sydney, hot day today, 34 to 37 degrees. That'll be your hottest day of the next 7 days, and that's occurring today. And that's thanks to that westerly wind blowing from inland. But probably one of the bigger news features this week is actually over in Western Australia, which has been not so much talked about lately. But Perth, you've got a really windy week on the way. Strong to gale force winds off and on for the next 7 days ahead. So we'll try and break all that down for you. But here is the leftovers of Jasper at the moment, tracking from east to west. It's going to come out on the Gulf of Carpentaria in the next couple of days and then drifts off towards Northern Territories and Darwin and Katherine and places like that, bringing more thunderstorms. Worth keeping an eye on because in a week from now, it may reform into a new tropical cyclone. It's not locked in, but I think keeping an eye on the leftovers are well worth it. Here is the wind map and the thunderstorm map as well. Still pretty blustery around Cairns, and now the wind flow coming in more from the north. So that could still be a bit of a problem for some areas. Help like estuaries trying to drain out. But the worst is now over. That's the good part. Still going to be plenty more rain though. I shouldn't say that that part is over. And so speaking of rain, this area here, just south of Cairns, could be seeing another 300 to 400 millimeters still to come on through. Now I know heavy rain up here is normal, but considering you've got strong winds, slips, and also the bigger, more dangerous seas at the moment, there just may still be some coastal flooding as a result of that heavy rain. And we've got a 7-day rainfall map at the end of this for the rest of the country. So let's get into the forecast. Here we are on Friday, and probably the main feature on Friday, Adelaide. Your temperatures are down. You're only around 19, maybe 20 degrees. That's your coolest day of the week. And it will be the same again as we go through to Saturday. But it is mostly dry in Adelaide. Not very warm in Melbourne either on Friday, 19 or 20 degrees. And a little further north in Ballarat, down to 7 degrees overnight tonight. It's a bit of a cold night really on the way for you. As we carry on with the other headlines, as I said, Perth, that's probably the windy start of your weather just beginning here with those easterly winds just starting to kick in for you. And Canberra, beautiful sunny day on the way for you, 27 or 28 degrees. But you can see these thunderstorms and showers that are forming. And just by the way, all maps are in the evening for Sydney time. So that's just to capture those afternoon thunderstorms. If we do it in the middle of the day, it doesn't show them. And it just looks like it's dry every single day. But you can see there that line of showers that form. And again, on Saturday as well, the red line, that's the humidity. It drops down. So around Brisbane, you're seeing those thunderstorms further inland probably than Brisbane itself, but certainly in the area worth keeping an eye on if you need some rain, which I think some of you certainly do. But the features to take a note of on Saturday, Hobart, 16 or 17 degrees, not exactly the warmest, and that's your coldest day of the week coming up. Devonport, just to the north here, windy, 18 degrees for you. Canberra in ACT, 25 degrees. It's not too bad, but it's actually your lowest temperature of the next 7 days as far as your maximum are concerned. And Perth, that windy weather will be pushing your temperature up to 32 degrees. That is your hottest day of the week coming up on Saturday. Now by Sunday, the winds do shift around a bit, a little bit more of a southerly flow here. It's still a bit windy, but not as hot as it was. And there'll be a few showers Esperance to Albany in that area, and another low pressure zone forming around South Australia. You've had a number of those forming lately. Now, as a result of that low and more of a northerly airflow coming in, temperatures are about to go back up again. So Adelaide, you're about 27 to 29 degrees. You might reach 30 degrees there for you. And further north, Whyalla on Monday, you'll be 38 degrees. So there's certainly some warmth coming back down again. But at the same time, a sea breeze into Sydney, that's your coolest day of the week. And when I say Sydney, I don't just mean the city, I mean Newcastle, Port Macquarie, all the way along that eastern coastline of New South Wales. It'll be cooler for you as we go through Sunday with that sea breeze, temperatures around 23 to 25 degrees. Monday, Melbourne's hottest day of the week, 27 to 29 degrees for you as that northerly wind kicks in, but it will be a bit cloudy for you on Monday. But the heat certainly being felt as it spreads from the interior out here, that red line bringing the heat, the humidity with it. Alice Springs around about 40 degrees on Monday. Uluru, Ayers Rock about 42 degrees. So yeah, the hot weather certainly in there, and still that wind blowing on Monday, and it actually strengthens on Tuesday even more for Perth. So kind of like a hairdryer, it's just blowing hot air straight out to Perth. So if it's not dry already, which I know it already is very dry around Western Australia, I mean, it's normal for that, but very dry at the moment in Perth, and you'll be seeing that dryness really setting in. Melbourne, your coldest day of the week though kicks in on Tuesday. You're only around 18, 19 degrees, maybe 20 if you're lucky, with a few showers in there. But just up the road in Canberra, 37 degrees, maybe 38 for you, with a few showers around on Tuesday. So we've got these thunderstorms all lining up through the central part. And they stay around on Wednesday as well. Still got the thunderstorms in these inland areas, Charleville to Grafton, Port Macquarie, those areas seeing them. And the big strong winds, Kalgoorlie to Perth, you're still getting them. They could be gale force at times. So it's going to be a hot, dry week for you, and very dry Broome, Port Hedland. We don't talk about you a lot, but it's going to be a bit windy for you at times as well coming up. Lastly, up here in the Gulf of Carpentaria, that is the leftovers of Jasper potentially reforming into a new tropical cyclone. The modelling isn't locked in, but we're seeing some life up here, not only with that storm, but another one that might be drifting around the western side of Australia for Christmas time, but that's not locked in at this early stage. Here is the rainfall for the next 7 days. So no rain in this zone from Broken Hill, Coober Pedy, no rain here from Broome, really all the way down to about Geraldton and just north of Perth. So pretty dry conditions, but very wet from Cairns to Darwin, Katherine, you're on the edge of it. And then those thunderstorms from Charleville, as I say, coming into New South Wales, really. Brisbane, looks like you might be still in a bubble of dry, but hopefully the rain is in the catchment areas further inland. But yeah, drier sort of week ahead for that southeastern corner, even Tasmania, not seeing much in the way of rain. Most of that is on the west coast. So that is all from me. Thank you again for joining us. Thanks for all the comments and the support on YouTube as the cyclone came in as well. We really do appreciate it. We're enjoying covering Australia because our weather, it all connects around this part of the world. Have a great weekend. We'll be back again next week. We have no video on Friday, so we'll see you again next week with our usual New Zealand update on Monday, and then we'll be expanding out, covering the Pacific and Australia Tuesday onwards. And also, one last note, with Christmas coming up, our videos will be not as frequent going through the few weeks around Christmas and New Year's Eve. We're a small business, but we will update you about that a little bit more next week. We'll catch you then.